guys, it's Jasmine. I'm back with another video. If you didn't already read the title, today's video is going to be on Ronald O'Brien. And as soon as I started reading this story, I fell into a wormhole and thought to myself, I've got to make a video on this. Like, it's such a good video, I just have to. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in because it's kind of long. On October 31st, 1974, in Deer Park, Texas, Ronald O'Brien and Jim Bates decided to take their kids out trick-or-treating. Ronald took the kids to their very first stop at 4112 Donna Rail Drive. Timothy, Ronald's son, knocked on the door, but there was no answer, so all of the kids decided to run to the next house. As the kids ran to the next house, Ronald came back to Jim with 5 pixie sticks and said, "Oh, they opened the door late and they gave these to me." When they caught up to the kids immediately wanted them, and of course the parents were like, "No, just finish trick-or-treating. You can have them when you get home." Later on at the Bates residence, Ronald decided to divvy out the pixie sticks and he took the kids back to their house. By the time he got back to the house, it was really late, and he told his son Thomas and his daughter Elizabeth that they could choose one candy. And of course the kids were gonna pick that 22-inch giant pixie stick. The pixie stick that he had chosen, for some strange reason, the top of it had already kind of gotten hard, and so his dad, Ronald, went ahead and took the pixie stick and rolled it in between his hands to be able to loosen it up for him. Timothy immediately poured that bad boy into his mouth and was like, "Oh yeah, pixie stick," dumps it in his mouth and made a grossed out face and just said, "Ugh, this doesn't taste good." So his dad went and ran into the kitchen to go get him some Kool-Aid to wash the nasty taste out of his mouth. Timothy then started convulsing and foaming at the mouth and throwing up. When the ambulance finally arrived, they went ahead and took him to the hospital, and he was pronounced dead an hour later. An autopsy revealed that he was poisoned by cyanide. The top 2 inches of the pixie stick was full of the cyanide. It was the powdered cyanide, and that amount was enough to kill 2 grown men. All of the other 4 pixie sticks were found unopened, but the scariest thing is one of the Bates children had fallen asleep with hers, and apparently she couldn't get the staple removed, and because she was so tired, she just fell asleep. All of them tested positive for cyanide. At this point, Ronald was completely beside himself. You know, his son had just died. He was in terrible, terrible debt. He was over $100,000 in debt. He was 8 months behind in his car payments. They were threatening to repossess his car. So he was just not doing well. And then his son passing away and being poisoned was just what pushed him over the edge. He was always bouncing from one job to another. He actually was reported to have 21 different jobs in the last 10 years. He also took out a $10,000 life insurance policy on his children earlier that year, and his wife told him, "We don't have money for this. Like, we don't even have money for bills. Why are you taking out life insurance policies on the kids? Like, they're fine, they're kids." He sobbed, telling the officers that he got them from the Melvin's residence. He at that point didn't know who they were, but he gave them the address, and he told them that he didn't know who gave the pixie sticks to him. All there was a shadowy arm that stuck their hand at the door, and he grabbed them for the kids and said thank you. The police immediately went to question the Melvins, and when they did, they found out that at the time he received the pixie sticks, Mr. Melvin was not even home from work yet, and Miss Melvin had already stopped giving out Halloween candy because she had ran out. Not to mention, none of the candy that Miss Melvin had passed out to the children that night were pixie sticks. At this point, police are interrogating the whole neighborhood because they want to find out who this culprit is who killed this little kid. Poor Timothy was poisoned to death. His dad and his mom are inconsolable, and there's a crazy person running rampant who poisoned children. When they asked Jim Bates what happened, he then told police that he would stay back and Ronald would be the one to go with the kids up to the doors. He also told them that the night that they received the pixie sticks, one of his sons was about to open it and eat it, and Ronald nearly leapt across the table to take it from him and said, "No, why don't you pick something else, eat this later." Police continued to poke around and look for more evidence because at this point, Ronald was becoming a large suspect. They realized that behind his wife's back on October 3rd of that year, he took out an additional $20,000 life insurance policy on both of his children. Police later searched his home and they found a pocket knife with plastic from the pixie stick on it and the candy residue. He was arrested on November 5th, just 5 days after his son's murder. After Ronald was arrested, co-workers came forward and said that he was at his job recently boasting about how he was no longer going to be in debt and how he was going to have money and how his life was going to turn around. Police also found out that just a few hours after Timothy's death, Ronald was already on the phone with the insurance company trying to claim his life insurance policy. Lucky for them, the insurance agent was a good person, found out about the story and called the police personally to let them know that he was planning on doing this. They also found out that Ronald was found to have been quizzing one of his customers who was a chemist. He quizzed him about different poisons, but he seemed very, very interested in cyanide specifically. And he even asked where he could purchase it from. Police also found the owner of the chemical store and asked him what had happened, and he admitted that Ronald had come in to buy the cyanide and he was asking questions. He had actually come in after the store was already closed and was demanding that he be able to buy it. So of course he sold it to him. He was more interested in finding out how much he could get for the least amount of money. Besides that, police kept him arrested and he was actually put to death by lethal injection on March 31st, 1984. And that's pretty much it. His wife never forgave him. She's actually one that testified against him. So it's a scary thought to think that somebody could do that to their own child. And he had zero worry about poisoning the other children because he left those other pixie sticks full of cyanide with the Bates children. What if all of them ate them? He would have killed 5 children, including his daughter. You know, now this mom has to live her life with just her daughter. She lost her son, and her husband she obviously doesn't want. I mean, it's a sad story all around. So moral of the story, check your kids' Halloween candy. I'm gonna check it extra good this year. Like I said in a previous video, I always check my kids' Halloween candy, but it's more to check what I want because they just turned 3. They don't need that much candy anyway. So I'll go ahead and kind of pull out anything before at least that I thought was a choking hazard or anything that I thought that they couldn't have. Like I wasn't comfortable with them having nuts right away. They could have peanut butter, but not nuts because I didn't want them to choke. I don't want them having a jawbreaker. So I would go through and pull all of that out and make sure that, you know, I took a couple pieces for myself. So moral of the story, check your children's candy. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more spooky videos for the rest of this month, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!